A man accused of murder walks out of the courthouse, free. Someone feels that justice hasn't been served. The man who controls narcotics statewide has never been convicted. Someone takes the law into his own hands. A well-known pimp, an alleged racketeer. Someone is putting the courts out of business. There's only one cop around who can crack this case. They call him Dirty Harry. And this time, his world is dirtier than ever. Eastwood is back in Magnum Force. When homicides get the questions, Harry's got the answers. Magnum Force, starring Clint Eastwood, from Warner Brothers. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent.
Welcome to our podcast. The robots took my podcast. I am Jordan.
And I am Anthony.
And we're talking about a movie today. This would be maybe classified in the odd sequel category. Maybe this is a new series, the odd sequel series. And we are talking about a movie that I turned Anthony onto because I went back and started watching the old Dirty Harry movies again. And I am on this movie called Magnum Force, hooked on this movie called Magnum Force right now. Directed by Ted Post, 1973 it's released. It's the second Dirty Harry movie in the series about Dirty Harry Callahan, played by Clint Eastwood. But it is also written by John Milius from Apocalypse Now, Conan the Barbarian, Michael Cimino of The Deer Hunter, Heaven's Gate. Okay, yeah, kids, you might have to Google all these names. But so I turned you on to this movie, Anthony. And so fresh thoughts so far. Having viewed it last night, what do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what I think at the end of the episode. But I will say this was indeed a very random sequel. And maybe that should be a new series we do where Jordan just picks a movie at random.
The odd sequel.
And then, it came out of the blue, but you were very passionate about it. So I was like, why not? Why not? But I will say it was an interesting watch.
It's a fucked up movie, right? I mean,
and I think, I think it'll be a lot of fun to talk about here. So getting right into it, this movie stars Clint Eastwood, who needs no introduction, right?
92.
Paint Your Wagon, Every Which Way But Loose. He was in Tarantula. The list goes on. You know, if you haven't seen a Clint Eastwood movie by this point in your life, it's time for some self-reflection. You know, what are you doing with your life? Maybe the problem is with you. You know, work on it. Because Dirty Harry, now for Jordan, for those not familiar, who is Dirty Harry?
Dirty Harry Callahan is a inspector, policeman in the city of San Francisco. Well, in this time period in the early 70s. This being the second movie in the series, but he's not a real character at all. He's not a real cop. He's not based on a real cop, from what I know.
Yeah.
He carries a 44 Magnum, which I don't even think you could really actually carry if you're a policeman.
Which he lets you know all the time. Dirty Harry is an archetype, I think. He's a rogue cop.
Absolutely.
Right? He's the template for like a lot of lone cop and really action or cop action characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, throughout the years. I mean, this is it. You know, you're going to make a rogue cop or a cop movie. Harry is the gold standard. You know?
He was the first time you had a cop who would bend the rules, you know, go above the law to get the job done, you know, something in reality, which if a cop did this in reality, it'd scare the fuck out of the rest of everybody, probably the rest of us, the public, everybody, the people in charge. But that's why I say, once again, folks, Dirty Harry is not a real person. Just to preface, he's not a real person. This person we're talking about is not a real cop.
Is? I mean,
some policemen in some small towns in the South might think otherwise when they pull one over. No, I don't know.
Well, I don't want to meet those policemen. So.
You don't want to meet them. You don't want to meet them, Anthony. You don't.
Yeah.
No. But anyway.
So you mentioned the director, Tom
Ted Post.
or Ted Post. The
Ted
director,
Post,
Ted Post.
who most notably I know of, he did a lot of television movies, but most notably the sequel to Planet of the Apes, another second movie in a series called Beneath the Planet of the Apes from 1970.
Yeah, and a lot of TV stuff, and he also did the pilot to Cagney and Lacey, starring Tyne Daly, who was in
Wow. Another Dirty Harry film called The Enforcer.
Yeah.
From 1976.
Yes, the next movie in this series. So anyway, yeah. And this movie was also produced by Malpaso Productions, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yes. That is Clint Eastwood's, like probably what they used to call in Hollywood the housekeeping deal at his studio, where they'd set up a star with an office and a production company. They'd do whatever he wanted to do. That's power. This is Clint Eastwood's power behind this movie, basically.
Yeah. He's a rich, and I know he was co-producer on the first movie, made a lot of money. He's a rich bitch. He's a Hollywood heavyweight. And yeah, he produced a lot of his movies, I think, starting with Hang 'em High. Mm-hmm. But anyway, this movie is definitely, I mean, I think he had a lot of control over this movie. You know what I mean?
I without a doubt, I'm pretty sure at this point he had some weight at the studio because of the first movie and the success. Absolutely. Yeah. I imagine he had a lot of weight.
And would later would later direct many films. So, but anyway, we begin, and what is the first thing we see?
A 44 Magnum, a hand holding a 44 Magnum in front of a just red black background, a red background, crimson red background, if you will.
Is that Clint Eastwood's hand?
Shakily
holding the gun for a very long time.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I have not looked it up though, but I doubt it.
It was a stunt hand. Okay.
All right. I imagine it was a stand-in hand, yeah, or a stunt hand.
What kicks in is
good actor though, that stunt hand.
Yes.
Good actor.
Yeah, wonderful hand, gun holding action by that hand. Anyway, and we get this amazing theme song. That really like boom. You know, you just jump right into this movie with this really funky, jazzy, percussion-y theme song.
Boy, is it. I mean, it sounds like the music that might be playing at Jack Nicholson's after party with a lot of drugs or something, I imagine. It is so far out, this music, as far as an action film goes. So, yeah, when you watch it with a modern sensibility, it's kind of it kind of throws you off a bit.
I loved it.
I do love it. Same here.
And that's Lalo Schifrin.
Yes.
Schifrin. That's Lalo Schifrin.
Yeah. Lalo Schifrin, the great...
Academy Award nominee, Cool Hand Luke.
Enter the Dragon.
The Dragon. He did a bunch of stuff. Hellstrom Chronicle, Jordan.
Oh my God, yeah. Kids, look up the music of Lalo Schifrin. Buy the vinyl if you can.
It's fascinating the movies he worked on, like amazing movies, and then he worked on the Hellstrom Chronicle, Caveman. Remember that Ringo Starr movie?
It's such a varied taste as far as composing went. I mean,
and the Master Gunfighter with what's his name? Sorry. Ron O'Neill and
Tom Laughlin.
Tom Laughlin. Yeah.
Billy Jack himself.
We may or may not talk about that movie. Probably not. But anyway, so then he turns, the hand turns and points the gun at the screen, sort of Bond style. And this movie was written by, like you said, gun-loving John Milius. Yeah. So anyway, not a lot of actors from the first movie returned for this sequel, right? I don't believe.
No.
I'm trying to remember. That's a hard part of watching a sequel. I was like, I haven't seen Dirty Harry in a long time.
I think every Dirty Harry movie, honestly, I think they always have somebody different who's calling the shots over him, over his job. I think it's always a different partner.
Yelling at Dirty Harry.
Either that or his partner, gets shot accidentally or gets killed. He always has an unlucky partner. I think that's his track record, is always having an unlucky partner.
Yeah, so this movie begins with the gun and the music, and it's awesome. And then
Yeah.
Then the quote from the first movie, this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful hand. That quote,
Yeah.
which,
Just to remind you what movie you're watching, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. As if you didn't know. Remember this? Anyway.
Just in case you don't remember what kind of gun we're talking about and who is related to this, associated with this gun. Okay. Dirty Harry.
And then it begins with a guy, Mr. Ricca, who looks like a real mobby kind of guy, guy who's into different things. A guy who's like maybe I don't want to use the word mafia, but allegedly he's being.
I guess he's a little too well dressed. Maybe
he's a little too well dressed, a little too heavy a New York accent, and so
his
he's coming.
Clothing's a little too loud.
He's being swarmed by reporters coming out of the courthouse, and then he's saying he had nothing to do with the death of this labor leader and his family who were murdered. Yeah. And he says, "I'm a legitimate businessman." Jordan, anyone who ever says I'm a legitimate businessman isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so outside people are protesting. Outside people are protesting. They're saying, hey, Rika's the killer. And then we get some handheld camera action, right? And I will say, at times this movie looks a little cheap. It is the early 70s, and it's maybe not the biggest budget movie of all time. But the cinematography is interesting. And,
I think it's all, it is all handheld. I was noticing that again watching it last night.
Yeah. And the cinematographer is Frank Stanley. This is his fourth Clint Eastwood movie in a row.
Yeah.
He did Breezy, Magnum Force, he did 4 in a row. Magnum Force, and then Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, a movie I like a lot, and then the Iger Sanction, right?
Right.
So
Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, which would also be directed by Michael Cimino, who co-wrote this movie, by the way.
It's just a lot of nepotism going on here.
A lot of tanglement here. But it's all tangled nicely here.
So anyway, then we see a cop putting on his uniform, and he pulls over Ricca's car, and we never see the cop's face, right? And he comes up, asks for the license, and then what does he do?
Just as the mafia guy's trying to explain things, he shoots them all point blank with a 357 Magnum.
Damn.
Using that Magnum Force. Force.
And so then Dirty Harry shows up with his new partner to investigate, and his new partner is Early, and we get a rookie vibe off this guy. Like, gee,
Played by the great Felton Perry, who I first saw in RoboCop as a kid.
RoboCop, yeah. So, yeah.
But I like this guy better. I like his character in this movie better than the character he played in RoboCop.
Yeah.
This guy's cool, man. This guy's fucking cool that he plays in this movie, at least.
He's a good guy. I like him. He's a good guy. They have good chemistry. And then the police Lieutenant Briggs shows up. And who plays Police Lieutenant Briggs, Jordan?
You talking about Hal Holbrook?
The great
Anthony?
Hal Holbrook.
Hal Holbrook.
And what was the last time we talked about Mr. Holbrook?
Wild in the Streets, another podcast we did, folks. Check it out.
Check out that episode. And he said, Harry, you've been demoted to the stakeout squad. What are you doing here? And he's busting his chops on the street because in all these movies, of course, the chief, the lieutenant, whoever has to just sit there and Harry, your methods are unsound,
And they are.
I mean, to be fair. I don't want to
But yeah, from what I understand, no police chief ever chews out a guy over things. He tries to talk to him calmly all the time, I think, from what I understand.
I don't know, but it's such a trope in movies, but I love it every time it happens. He's like, we don't want the public crying police brutality, Yeah. There's a lot of funny dialogue in this. This is almost a comedy, Jordan, at least in the first 2/3 of this movie.
Oh, yeah. Totally. I admire, I think the humor is funny. It's very dark humor, but it applies to the movie. But it works. It actually works for this movie, I think.
And that's Harry's trademark. Like that snarky sort of dialogue.
In fact, there's more humor in this movie compared to the first movie, and I think they almost soften Harry in this movie by comparison. We can get into. We're going to cover more of that later on.
We're going to cover more of that, I guess.
But yeah, there is more humor in this movie. This is almost like it's written by somebody that said, "Oh, you're going to let me write a Dirty Harry movie, the sequel? oh, no way. Oh, brah. And giving a high five to the person hiring him. Brah, yeah, bring it on me, And like, it seems like Milius or Cimino or both were having fun writing this movie,
Oh yeah.
possibly having a field day with this movie.
And that comes across in a weird way. It's almost a parody of the original.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, I got a stack of Dirty Harry jokes I've just been sitting on. This is great,
Yeah, exactly. And it's written by, exactly. It's written by somebody who even back then was not, he wasn't actually far left himself he was actually more right. I mean, John Milius himself, the writer of this movie, was a little bit to the right back then, not compared to what you would see nowadays, but he was probably one of the few people in Hollywood that like had guns in his house, probably.
Oh, yeah.
And also once was known to place a grenade on a executive's desk, and pulling the pin, even though it was empty. It wasn't even live. It had already been, it was one of those.
Oh, that makes it okay. Yeah.
But that's the best thing, is to keep Hollywood executives in fear during a meeting,
Just having some fun.
Just having some fun.
So the dialogue is one of the things that surprised me about this movie. It's really funny.
It is.
So they go to the airport for reasons to get a snack. And
they're like looking for some kind of suspect, but yeah.
Yeah, so there's this anyway. This
Callahan says they have the best burgers in all of San Francisco.
and he's a connoisseur of street food.
He is. He's a connoisseur of hamburgers and hot dogs.
He is,
judging by this movie and the first movie.
Yeah. And so anyway, there's trouble at the airport, Jordan, because this is almost like a TV show or a series of vignettes or action sequences. An excuse for something to happen. And so there's trouble at the airport, and there's some hijackers on the flight, right? And
Harry gets wind of it, so he sneaks on the plane dressed up as a pilot.
And
Am I skipping ahead? Yeah.
No, you're not. This scene is awesome. He boards the flight, and then the guy's got a gun on him. He's like, "Sit down."
I love this scene,
plane. And he obviously doesn't know how to fly a plane, right? So he's like,
no, and even the pilot says, "Do you know how to fly a plane?" And he looks at him, and this is like, of course, I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, but yeah, this is what tips it off. And he says, "No, never had a lesson."
But he knows how to slam on the plane's brakes.
He does, apparently.
He knows that much.
And boy, does he. And he slams on the brakes. The hijacker holding him at gunpoint. He goes down a little bit, and Harry takes that chance to knock him in the head with the end of his fist over and over again till he falls to the floor.
Yeah. Clint Eastwood's a very side fist puncher in a lot of his movies.
Yeah. I mean, just like Homer Simpson slamming the TV to work. That's the way he does it, literally.
And then he grabs a gun and then shoots the other hijacker.
Yeah, not just shoots at him, shoots through the wall of the other cabin because they're still inside the plane because the plane slamming on the brakes caused everybody inside the plane, the hostages, to all flee out of their seats forward. Yeah. I guess nobody was buckled in still.
And what I loved is, like, you see in the middle of all this happening, like, Briggs is talking to an air traffic controller, and the air traffic controller's like, "Oh, one of your guys is here." He's like, "Who?" Callahan. He's like, and just the look on his face. Yeah. And then when
Callahan's supposed to be on a stakeout.
Whenever Briggs shows up, he's like, "What are you doing here, Lieutenant?"
Yeah.
It's just like, anyway. So then, great scene. And
but he saves the day. He saves everybody. He saves the day
because it's Dirty Harry. He can't help but save the day.
Dirty Harry, he's a damn good shot with that 44 Magnum.
or any gun. And so,
or 357, as we'll find out, yeah.
Speaking of that, where he spends most of his downtime is at the firing range at the station.
But we can't leave out, how he heads back to the precinct, and a car comes out in front of him, and it's his old friend Charlie, who we've never met before. Yeah.
And so he meets his friend Charlie McCoy, who's just full of crazy talk.
Yeah.
Right.
We get the vibe that he's a little burnout, maybe.
Yeah.
He should take some vacation time or a break or a desk job like Callahan suggests to him.
Yeah. And then he's really salty and pissed off about how the courts are letting all these criminals go. And he feels like he's running out of time. And he's talking about killing these criminals. He wants to go out fighting. And then that's when Harry's like, maybe you need a vacation.
Yeah.
And
of course, us as the audience, we're like, that's the guy right there that did it, probably.
That's the guy that did it.
That's the guy that shot these mafia hoods in the beginning at point blank.
Movie over. All right.
Movie
we
over.
Need to finish this up.
That's the guy
Let's
that
go
did
home.
that. Okay.
We're 15 minutes.
Credits
into
roll.
Movie.
This was a Dirty Harry short film. He goes into this the shooting gallery, I guess. At the precinct, I guess.
Yeah, and then we meet David Soul, star of Starsky and Hutch, a TV show from the 70s.
He would later go on to be in a cop show himself, the star of a cop show in the 70s called Starsky and Hutch. Yeah.
Yes. And then he plays Davis, and Robert Urich, star of Vegas, a TV show from the 70s, right?
Yeah, and SWAT, another
SWAT,
where he was a SWAT team guy. He's a SWAT leader. So
another cop show. Are comfortable in the cop detective sort of role here.
SWAT also, kids, look it up. It had an awesome theme to it.
Yeah, and then he plays Grimes, and then Tim Matheson. Hold on a second.
Yeah,
let me clear my throat. Hold on.
Tim Matheson,
who is a very young Tim Matheson from Animal House,
pre-Animal House.
Mm-hmm. Way pre-Animal House. Was he 40 in Animal House? Jeez.
God, he's like a baby here, I swear. I mean, he was a baby in Animal House too. I mean,
But they're all these young rookies, these young hotshot rookies, and they're all great shots at the shooting range. And they're really.
And we left one out. Kip Niven is the other guy.
Oh yeah, Kip Niven.
He looks. At first, I thought it was Tommy Kirk, but it's not Tommy Kirk. Kip Niven. Anyway,
no. In the sake of completeness, we'll include him. But he's not that important because, and then Harry is like, wow, he's kind of impressed at how good these guys are shooting.
And I think we get the idea. Normally he's alone at this time. This is normally his downtime, his peace time after his happy time after. This is Harry's happy time after work, and he goes at this odd hour to do it because he knows nobody's there.
Some people unwind, they work out, they drink some coffee. Yeah. Harry goes to the shooting range, right?
And apparently it's right there in the police precinct. I guess all police precincts have a shooting gallery or a shooting range right there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think so. Cops need to know how to shoot. But anyway, so then we go and see that faceless cop creeping up on a topless pool party. And this movie it's the 70s. There's boobs, and there's much more as we get into. Now we should back
up a bit though. After we've met these guys, he tells them, he tells them he's normally alone at this. That it's normally more quiet at this hour. That he's normally the only one there at the hour. He gives them that indication. They even say, "You want us to leave you alone?" He says, "No, it's okay." But he loves the way they shoot. You can tell Harry's clearly in love with these guys because these guys remind him of himself. The way they shoot. And their attitude, they're rookies, Yeah.
And skills respect skills. There's some respect going on there.
Robert Urich says one line in particular. He says, if you're going to be on the streets today, you got to be able to shoot straight, and that's like a big line right there. Anyway.
And that is true. And anyway, he admires them. Yeah. And they're cool. And he's like, on one hand, he likes these guys, and on the other hand, you see him sort of feeling old that these young rookies are coming in, and they're just as good as he is, at least in shooting.
That he's definitely the old gunman in town, and these are the new guns in town.
Yeah, literally
the young guns,
young guns. And so then we see the faceless cop creeping up on a topless pool party, and this is the 70s.
This gets fucked up. Yes, I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah, and this is the 70s, so put your hands over the kids' eyes, send the kids to bed.
Yeah. This is where they use that R rating, is all I'm saying. And you get to see Suzanne Summers from Three's Company topless in this scene. Hey, it was before Three's Company. She needed the work. Hey,
Yeah.
I don't blame her. I would be topless. I'd show my dick in a Dirty Harry movie back then. Ooh, I shouldn't have said that. Okay, I'm sorry. If they were paying me and I was there in that time as an actor, I'm just saying. Okay, anyway.
Three's Company, a 70s comedy.
And I love Suzanne Summers. Yes, American Graffiti also needs no introduction. I mean,
Yeah.
at least I think I hope to.
Well, she
younger
barely
people
has a
now.
line, but yeah,
Yeah,
she's in there as a cameo of
she's
a
running
woman.
around showing off the new diamond wedding ring she just got from this old rich dude, I guess.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah, it
then-
becomes a Miley massacre.
Yeah, and then the faceless cop just pulls out a machine gun and kills every fucking buddy at this pool party.
Yes.
Like women, topless women. Drink every time a topless woman gets shot in this movie.
It's
you
weird.
know?
There's a lot of topless people getting killed in this movie, but yeah, I'm sorry. I might be. Anyway, but yeah.
It's a difference between the 70s and today. Like sex and violence were like one thing in the 70s. You know what I mean? It was like, let's show them both at the same time. And the body count in this movie, we're already like, I don't know, 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in, if even that.
I mean, yeah, we're almost 30 minutes into this movie so far, I think, or so. And this is already a few, how many people killed?
I don't even know. I stopped counting at this point. I was like, we're going to watch the movie or am I going to start?
But
like,
yeah, I mean, he just
tally?
sneaks to these people's backyard and mows them down with this gun. It's crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this movie has really intense, insane scenes like that. So then we just see a cut to a TV and Briggs is getting mobbed by reporters. He's at the scene because these reporters are just always there in this movie. You know,
they always are just, it's like they're around the corner waiting.
And then later, Harry goes to see Charlie's wife.
His now
he's
ex-wife.
Like, what's up with Charlie?
I guess
his ex-wife.
I guess he hasn't been living in the house for a while now, and I guess Harry was always a friend of the family, enough to where he could stop by and just drink a beer and talk to her and say, what happened between you and Charlie.
Yeah, they've been friends for 10 years, and he's like worried about Charlie. And
the little kids are running around. It's adorable the way.
Hey, Harry.
It's adorable the way Harry smiles at him. You see Clint Eastwood's dimples. I mean,
Yeah, letting the kids play with his gun. I'm kidding. He would never do that. And then,
yeah, go ahead. Hold it. It's a 44 Magnum. Yeah, go ahead, boy. Yeah, you know how to shoot straight. There you go.
I was about your age when I first shot a gun. Anyway, so then she says he's talking to the wife, and she says he showed up and he was like playing Russian roulette in front of the kids with his gun. I mean, these poor kids need therapy. Yeah,
in the corner. Yeah, it's amazing how happy they are still after all that. I mean, they run up to the room all happily, and she tells Harry all this shit.
Yeah, because Harry's not their crazy dad.
Yeah,
and so then the kids go to bed, and then she gets a little frisky, Jordan.
She does put the moves on Harry a little bit. She tries to get under Harry's dress a little. And
so she's like, Harry, why have you never made a pass at me? Hint, Jordan, she has 3 kids and a crazy ex-cop husband or ex-husband.
So she's a little lonely. I mean, you can't.
But I like this movie, and a lot of movies in the 70s really take time, sometimes too much time, to dwell on side characters and really give them backstories, and all that. So that happens here, and it's pretty good.
I think it's good though, because it shows how Harry just can't get in. He just doesn't like to get involved with anybody hardly. He like everything for him is an acquired taste, But
he's a good guy, and people tend to like him, except for his boss.
Even as far as close companionship, it seems like Harry's, for him, you have to be an acquired taste,
Yeah, he keeps people at a distance. And
he really does. It just shows how distant he is from everybody still, and even he won't. It also shows just how loyal he was to his friend, I guess, and how he's just like, this is weird. I can't. I don't know. I can't go there,
Yeah, and so we're going to start a new podcast called Psychoanalyzing People in Movies. Feet up on the couch there.
Yes.
Just tell us about your problems person in the movie. And
on the next episode, we're going to cover why Richard Dreyfuss's character, Roy Neary, left his family in Close Encounters to go on a mothership. Back to the podcast.
So back to this episode.
Back to this
This movie.
Yes.
And so Harry gets a call at his friend's house, which is weird. This is before cell phones, people. So do people just know he's there and know that number? I don't know. It's another cop calling him, and then they're on a stakeout at a store that's been robbed a lot. So he goes there. and you see his partner undercover bagging groceries as a store clerk. And
Yeah.
then another cop behind this giant window, one-way window, whatever it's called. And then there's a suspicious guy
Two-way,
looking through magazines. Two-way.
a two-way mirror. Yeah.
Is it? Well, it's a one-way, two-way mirror. Yeah, thank you. A two-way mirror,
Mhm.
and looking at this suspicious guy looking through magazines. And then, of course, Harry's like, he's up to no good. And then, of course, as Harry predicted, three crooks come in, and with guns, robbing the place. But Jordan, this was amazing. One of the cooks grabs a child and
Yeah.
throws him like 15 feet into a display. It was amazing. Like by one arm, he just swings him into this display. It was fantastic. It's like, this is a
That's
stunt
right.
kid. Yeah.
Of many oh shit moments in this movie. I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's oh shit moment from after 10 minutes in this movie, honestly. Before 10 minutes in this movie happens, you're like, oh shit, that was a lot. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. Like, the child labor laws be damned. But I love the little stunt kid, and I want to see more like the adventures of Stunt Kid. Like, every time Stunt Kid goes anywhere, somebody
God,
throws him
I
into
hope
something.
that kid was okay. I hope he was, an actual adult that just looked young or something like that. Or
I don't know. It was a great stunt. Maybe
I hope it was a doll.
very short adult, but it looked like that guy just grabbed the kid and threw him into some stuff. It was awesome. Anyway,
when actors get too far into a role, Anthony, that's another podcast episode.
You get the feeling that the kid wasn't expecting to be thrown that far.
Yeah.
That crook was very method. Anyway,
where they like cut. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. He hurt me. I'm sorry. I thought he was a stunt person.
Yeah. All
he
right.
fucking hurt me.
Take two. Anyway, so let's do that again. So anyway, so the crook is he has a shotgun barrel at Dirty Harry's partner undercover, and he says a racial slur. Everybody, it is the 70s.
It's cruel, right, man. What he says, jeez,
he wants him to suck on the shotgun. This is not, this is not a kid's movie.
No,
okay?
But he tells him to kneel. This is the fucked up part. He's like, I want you to kneel. Like he's trying to tell him to kneel pathetically. But the beautiful thing is, just as he's kneeling, Harry shoots right through the two-way mirror perfectly at him and shoots him down cold and bloody. I don't know if a bullet is really going to do that at that. I mean, I might question the ballistics of this, but
Jordan, yeah, let's not question the ballistics in Dirty Harry.
But it's beautiful. He knocks this dude out before he kills Dirty Harry's partner, played by Felton Perry once again. Yeah. Wonderfully by Felton Perry. And you're glad that he didn't kill Felton Perry this way. Good God, I'm so glad he didn't kill him like this.
And he's like, first week on the job kind of thing. Like, damn, what I mean?
Another reason why you don't want to be Dirty Harry's partner in a movie.
No.
In one of these movies, any of these movies, it could be dangerous for you. You just
pass on that offer.
If you get hired the first day, just nice meeting you, but I'm gone. I can't do it.
I've talked to HR. I want to get that stakeout job.
Yeah. My papers are good now. I'm getting out of here. Nice meeting you. Was going to be nice working with you, but I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm afraid. I don't want to get killed, man. I'm pissing my pants right now, man. I can't do it, man.
And family, man. I've seen the first two movies, man. So then they go to the police station. Harry and Early go to the police station. And then there's a weird, this is San Francisco. There's a weird, like, Dirty Harry quasi woke gay joke, but / offensive gay joke. I don't know. He's like,
because they passed by the guys from earlier who were at the shooting practice in the shooting gallery. Robert Urich, David Soul, Kip Niven, and Tim Madsen.
And they're all having fun going to the bar, and this guy's like,
yeah, you can tell they're going to go out for a romp,
Yeah, people say they're like as close as a bunch of blanks,
Yeah. Spell it out. Then, they say queers.
Well, not in the way we mean today.
Yeah.
It was a pejorative.
He says they're queer for each other. Kind of like that. Anyway.
Yeah. And then Harry says, well, if the rest of the guys in the department could shoot like that, I wouldn't care if the whole department was gay. And then when he says that, there's just this other cop that has this look on his face like he just caught the last part of that sentence.
The tail end, like, what? Oh, my God.
It's funny. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's great. I love the way he says it, too.
So that's what I'm saying. This is kind of like a comedy action movie.
If they shoot that good, I don't care if the whole department's queer.
Yeah.
That's what he says. I mean,
yeah. So then we see a call girl get into a cab, all right? And so the cab driver is driving around. And so her pimp hops in the car, and then he's like, you better have my money. And she's like hiding it all over her body, and he's like digging it out, right? And so,
this pimp is brutal. I mean, she's just like, I mean, you don't know how, I don't, anyway, the pimp is brutal. Where's my money? Where's my money? She pulls the money out of her crotch, and after already showing off to the cab driver and such, but yeah.
Yeah. And then the cab driver runs away. And so what does he do then?
The pimp, later he kills her right there in the cab, slowly kills her right there in the cab by putting this, what is it? This can
drain cleaner down her throat. It's
pouring
brutal.
it into her throat.
Damn, she should have had his money, Jordan. This pimp doesn't play around. This is serious.
Bitch better have my money. I'm sorry. Quoting Rihanna. I'm sorry. It's brutal, this scene. They show enough they don't show a lot, but they show enough to give you the idea of what's going on. I mean, it's just enough to give you where you're watching and going, oh God, no, stop. Because you see her legs shaking, and you see him take this can out of his jacket, which I guess he just carries cans of drain cleaner to do this to his women when they do him wrong. I don't know.
It's a pimp's business. You got to have the gear, you got to have your drain cleaner. You never know.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's brutal.
Okay, she's a very good-looking, beautiful woman, and
yes,
I don't know why a pimp would take that out of his stable for a few bucks. But anyway,
the cab driver doesn't do anything. The cab driver in this movie is not Travis Bickle. He gets up and runs chicken shit, ape shit, which of course most cab drivers probably would do. Honestly,
I would. I'd call the cops. Maybe, I don't know. He probably has a gun. He's got drain cleaner. Watch out! You never know what he's going to do with that.
Yeah.
But Jordan, the pimp gets in his car. She dies. The pimp gets in his car, and Jordan, I swear to you, this is the exact same car as the car from Willie Dynamite, the Isaac Hayes pimp movie.
No way.
I promise you it is. I looked it up. It has to be.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh. I could see them buying it and reusing it or.
And off topic. Do you know who the cinematographer was on Willie Dynamite? Frank Stanley.
Oh, same guy from this movie.
There's so many Willie Dynamite, Magnum Force connections I could make, but we'll just stop there. Yeah. Anyway, that was just a weird thing because I don't know how many pimp cars there were. I don't know if Warner Brothers made Willie Dynamite, but anyway, it was just a weird thing. They both came out the same year. So anyway, the faceless cop shoots him. Pulls him over and shoots him, just like he did earlier.
Yeah, we see the pimp being followed by the same cop from earlier on a motorcycle, almost one of these same identical cops. Yeah, and he pulls him over, and the pimp tries to bribe him with a $100 bill slipped in his wallet after he shows his driver's license. But the cop is still like, the reason I pulled you over is because of this and that, blah blah blah. Yeah. And then he just shoots him point blank right there.
Yeah.
Cold,
and then
puts the gun back in his holster, drives away.
Yeah. And then we find Dirty Harry at home, and Harry lives in a tiny efficiency with a very tiny fridge.
Tiny studio apartment, I would say.
A studio apartment.
Meaning it's just bathroom, kitchen right connected to the bedroom, living room area. No bedroom separated from living room.
No. Yeah. Your bed is your couch. And some things never change because, San Francisco rent. That's what I thought. I was like, that's where I would be living right now if I had to live in San Francisco.
He's living on that salary, the inspector cop salary. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this beautiful girl just comes up to him, this young lady that lives in the apartment. You're the cop that lives upstairs. And she just wants to hook up, man. Like out of nowhere. Yeah. Like, what is with Harry in his life? Like, all these women are just throwing themselves at him.
It just shows how he doesn't care, though, because he doesn't care so much that people around him just are trying to talk to him, trying to get at him, trying to get with him, man, or trying to do other things with him.
Yeah. But he just
doesn't care.
He's about to hook up with this chick. And that kind of reminded me of Soylent Green because of the May December sort of situation there in like movies in the 70s. It's like really old guy and hot young lady. You know,
Yeah.
it was male fantasy stuff. So,
She puts the moves on him totally, though. Yeah.
yeah. But
His
then what
neighbor-
happens?
Is this where
Briggs calls and Cox blocks.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Cox
This
blocks him.
is funny, yeah, because he says, "I'm entertaining a lady right now, as a matter of fact." And then Hal Holbrook's character Briggs says, "Well, get your pants back on, Harry.
And so
Get down here."
he's down at the morgue, and then he's like, you know, Harry, we need you back on homicide. And they're starting to put these murders together.
They're at the morgue, and
the
the body count from everybody that's been killed so far in this movie is laying on a stretcher, or laying in the morgue on a, you know.
And then we have the police captain who's there, and he works with Briggs, and someone's killing criminals, you know. And then, you know, Briggs is like, hold on a second. So he's like, yeah, somebody's killing criminals. So some that you know, they don't know it's a cop yet, but somebody's going out there killing like all these bad guys. And then the chief is like, Harry, I'm putting you on this, but if you get out of line, I'll flop you lower than whale shit.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was a bizarre line. I don't know.
I love how the other guy says, "Somebody's trying to take out the courts."
Exactly. That's what they're doing. Yeah. It's because they established in the first part of the movie that, you know, the courts aren't doing anything. They're letting all these criminals go.
This is like early Judge Dredd almost. This is like,
yeah,
the prequel to Judge Dredd. This is how it began. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's right. I mean,
but they're doing the shit. Aren't they doing the shit that Judge Dredd does in a comic book? Like he becomes the enforcer, you know?
Yeah.
Right there on the street, he becomes the judge and the arbiter and the enforcer,
jury
all that,
and executioner,
all that, whatever. Yeah, like.
Well, we will see later. We will see later on.
Yes.
But then we have a Bond moment where Harry comes home and that chick is just in his bed, completely nude. We see full frontal nudity here, people.
Yeah, that lucky old bastard.
Yeah, must be nice.
Must be nice.
And then he realizes that the murders are being done with the 357 Magnum. And he thinks maybe it's a cop, right? So he goes to the pimp car.
Yes.
You know, and then he sees all that.
He inspects the pimp's car. That's what it is. Yeah, he's looking through it like French Connection style. Like
exactly. Yeah, I was getting French Connection vibes out of this movie several times. But yeah, you see a lot of ballistics and police investigation, and they're marking where the bullets entered and stuff. It's pretty cool. And then Harry realizes that the murders are being done by somebody impersonating a police officer. Like his license was out, that sort of thing. Right?
We see this whole weird meeting with slideshows and everything, and Hal Holbrook discussing it, leading the whole meeting. I don't know if they really I don't really know if they have police meetings like you see in TV shows or movies like this. Anyway, it seems like it's really there for you know, exposition for the movie, for the audience still, you know, anyway.
Yeah, but then Briggs's idea is to round up the usual suspects because, you know, to solve all these murders. And then there's like this one mob guy. What's his name? Starts with a P.
Palancio.
Yeah.
Palancio.
And so he's like, he's behind it. And so they, you know, Briggs sends Harry after him to, you know.
Hang on just a second, Anthony. I want you to go down there, Callahan, and investigate Palancio.
It's a great name. It's a great mob. All the bad guys in this movie are Italian. I don't know. Anyway,
it's just like the Mystery Science Theater Mitchell, Galano, where they keep going on about Galano. Anyway.
Yeah, so and Harry's like, it's not Palancio, and it's a cop, or, you know, and then anyway. So Briggs isn't buying that, so he sends him down, and then we have a scene where basically Harry is harassing some of Palancio's men, you know, in a little chase sequence that kind of goes nowhere. It's kind of a pointless little scene, but just to show that Harry's an asshole, kind of, because he pulls up next to Palancio's men and asks them if they know where San Quentin is, and it's like a bad prank call. I don't get it.
It is, anyway. Yeah.
Anyway,
and it's literally a drive-by. Like he literally drives by him and yells this insult at him.
And compared to all the other insults and jokes that are being thrown around this movie. I think that scene was a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
It could have been something funnier, he said. But anyway, I don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever. Then we cut some cops in a stakeout, Jordan, and there's this guy Guzman they're looking for in his penthouse apartment, right?
Yeah.
And then they're looking down, and on the street, Charlie McCoy on his motorcycle runs into a car, and he looks drunk or something. It's like, isn't that Charlie McCoy?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then
a car hits him.
Yeah, he gets up, and then he goes into this building, the same building, and then you just see the cop. You see Charlie McCoy walking up the steps, to get to the penthouse. And who is in the penthouse, Jordan?
Are you talking about the cocaine threesome going on?
I am talking about the cocaine threesome going on.
It looks like a softcore movie just interrupted this movie all of a sudden from the 70s also.
It's a bisexual cocaine threesome with some fat old guy Guzman who's there's blow. It's just
this Marjo Gortner looking young dude with the fro, with the white dude with the blonde fro.
Yeah.
With his dick all out, and a female with her boobs and tits and breakfast all out,
her
as
boobs
the Irish
and her
would
tits.
say.
And anyway,
and they're snorting just an ungodly amount of cocaine, even for 1973. He's like $900 an ounce. That costs $900 an ounce. Watch it there, kids. And you're like, what? What is going on with this scene? How can you not let them do the cocaine in this scene? And that's the weird part about the scene. He's acting all like father knows best all of a sudden. I don't know.
It looks real. And you realize real quick this is not like a healthy relationship between these people. Or maybe it's consensual. I don't know. But this is not a father, daughter, son relationship.
It ends up looking consensual.
Butt-ass naked. Everyone's just completely naked. It's crazy.
That's all we know,
It is San Francisco, though. You know what I mean?
And it is 1973, yes.
I mean, if you're going to San Francisco, better
be sure to wear a flower in your hair, and
that's all. And
be sure to have some blow in your nose.
Yeah, and so McCoy walks up and shoots them all, and then the girl flies out of a window, Jordan. And
it's harsh.
It had to have been a dummy, but damn, it looked real. The dummy hits one of the balcony rails on the way down, and you're like, "Ooh, it is so awesome."
You could tell they didn't just throw a mannequin out the window on this one. They actually even if it was a dummy, they kind of took time with the makeup effects. Definitely. It's kind of shocking still to look at. I mean, anyway, if you want to watch one of many more oh shit moments, this is one of many more oh shit moments, literally.
This is oh shit moment number 10, I think, in this film at this point.
Yeah.
This movie just keeps amping it up and raising the stakes. And Dirty Harry was just a different kind of movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a lot of oh shit moments in that movie, but this movie's just going for broke. Like, damn.
There was TNA in the original and violence in the original. I mean, that was really, that was when in America, apparently in that time period, movies were starting to get more violent with the ratings coming along, or, it was like forcing Hollywood to push the envelope more and stay away from television more, I guess,
Yeah. Oh, the original Dirty Harry is a classic, but it's not like this. This is on a different level.
But no, this is more excessive almost by comparison.
I mean, how many naked women fell out of a high rise and and then hit a balcony on the way down? I mean,
it's funny. I mean, this was literally, you could tell that Lethal Weapon was a disciple of this movie later on,
Yeah.
A movie like Lethal Weapon was a disciple of this movie, right? So to speak. A descendant.
Well, so many movies are like that. But there was that scene with the male buttocks, Jordan, and I know that you're a fan of the male buttocks. So
being a fan of the male buttocks, yes, that blonde guy, he had some nice buttocks on him.
And so that's why now I know why you wanted to review this movie.
That was the whole reason you got me.
Yeah,
you got
and
me.
now I know why your wife is filed for divorce. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God! Knock on wood.
It's horrible. I'm just kidding.
Don't be a podcast precursor.
No. Anyway.
Podcast Omen.
I'm kidding. I'll cut that. I'm sorry.
I'm knocking on wood now.
Anyway, so the other cops see this and they're like, damn, as we are too. And then they run down, try to investigate But McCoy gets into the parking garage and he sees the faceless cop there, right?
Yes, we see Charlie McCoy walking into the parking garage. He sees the faceless cop. So at least, and he kind of smiles at him for a little bit. It's kind of sad in a way, right? Because he's like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, buddy, like, you're one of me, I guess.
Something like that. And then the cop does what?
I mean, sorry, was that too loud? I walked away
No,
from the
you're
mic as
good.
far as I could.
Yeah. He just kills him right
It's
there.
sad,
And then,
kind of. I mean, this is the end of Charlie McCoy. We barely got to know this old. I want the backstory. I want the prequel where Charlie and Helen met and killed people together. I don't know, and bent the law together. I don't know.
well, the Charlie McCoy I know was playing Russian roulette in front of his children, so I have a little less sympathy for
What
him.
led to that, though, Anthony? I don't mean to sound like the pitch meeting guy, but what led to that?
We do need, the fans wanted a Charlie McCoy prequel. Anyway.
But we get the idea. I'm sorry. All kidding aside, we get the idea that it wasn't Charlie McCoy the whole time like we might have suspected.
Or were some of the murders Charlie McCoy? I mean, I don't know. We'd have to go back and really...
That's a confusing, like I say, sort of Hitchcockian aspect of it where you thought you saw the murder but didn't know that kind of thing, and like in Psycho.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So people are gathering outside, and then we see the cop that shot Charlie McCoy walk outside. He takes off his glasses and his helmet, and who is it, Jordan?
He's one of the motorcycle rookie cops from earlier in the movie. The guys from the target practice. The guys who they implied that were gay that could shoot straight in the movie. It's those guys, Anthony.
David Soul.
It's David Soul. It's the blonde-haired one out of him, yeah.
Yeah, and so he goes out and then is calming the crowd, and he looks a little worried,
He just starts to blend in by pushing the crowd away, like nothing to see here, folks, which is really like pretty smart.
Yeah,
in the movie,
yeah. And
you're like, oh wow, he snuck away that way,
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So Harry's back at the police station, and Briggs, the lieutenant, is saying like, well, Harry's saying like, well, I think it's a cop that did it. I think it was. I hate to say it, but I think it was Charlie McCoy. And then he's like, Charlie McCoy just died today. Davis reported it. And it's just like he's like, oh shit.
Your Hal Holbrook is pretty good, actually.
Oh, he's good. And he's like, now go out and get Palancio. That he's obviously the killer, and it's pretty clear they're trying to pin this on Palancio. Like Palancio's not a good guy.
Yeah,
he's not a good guy, but
no.
He's not doing all this.
But he's not killing these people, though. Those are not the people he's killed.
Yeah. No. And so then we get to a scene where they're loading Charlie's body onto a plane, and his wife and kids are there and mourning, and David Soul is also there, and Harry's there.
Yeah.
And,
that's what's fucked up too. You're like, oh my God, isn't that the same guy? I think
that killed him. Yeah. And then he says, it's funny because Harry's like, this is all very suspicious, right?
Yeah.
And his wife is crying there, and he's just like, he's there because he felt guilty. He said, I feel bad. I feel responsible somehow. And then Harry looks at him, shoots him this look, like,
yeah. And then he's escorting her kids into the car. Even that's the fucked up part. Like you're like, oh my God, this is the guy that killed their daddy. It wasn't the Russian roulette gun in the living room that did it. It was this guy.
And he's playing the part. I love it. It's like you're like,
but
wow.
Oh yeah, I have to say, David Soul in this part is really good. He's icy cold, man. He is so icy cold. Just I mean, he gives you chills. He's calculated looking.
At this point in the movie, you're wondering what the hell is going on because I don't know. But then they hold on. Then we go to a police shooting competition.
Yeah, is this where this is where we get to the annual sharpshooter fall festival?
Yeah.
And they have beer, soda, hot dogs, and everybody's present, and everybody from the precinct is just there on a Sunday afternoon, I guess.
Bring the family out. There's
the family
kids
out
there, balloons.
And also, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry, Anthony, but goddamn, and there's no like protective bulletproof glass anywhere in this whole place.
Well, it's a sharpshooter competition. They don't need it, Jordan, and it's the 70s.
This does not look like something in San Francisco. This looks like something you'd find in Texas or Colorado, anywhere in the South where they love their guns. I'd believe it there even more so. Anyway.
But it was crazy. I thought the same thing too. Like everyone's out there, it must be loud as hell and super dangerous to watch people because they're not in lanes and there's no barriers. It's like professional. It's like golf. It's like the PGA Tour.
And
with guns.
I love this movie. No, don't get me wrong. I turned you on to this movie, but I was watching this movie again, criticizing this part again. This and the shooting gallery part of the precinct earlier, just the way that was set up, because it looked like a parking garage, like it was built in a parking garage, probably.
Yeah.
But then
they have this.
Yeah. Anyway, then this. I'm sorry.
Oh no, were you saying something? Or?
But yeah, and then this. I mean, there's hardly nobody in the front row is wearing any protective earmuffs, over there.
Yeah. And so Harry and Davis are just neck and neck in the shooting competition, and then Harry decides it's like trial by combat here, and he's like he chooses combat, which is like, what is that thing like? It reminded me of that scene in Men in Black when the pictures of people like pop up. And some are like, a lady with her groceries, and another's a cop, and another's like, a criminal.
Now that is real from what I know, like from the way they train cops. They train them like with stuff just like that in the scene. But like the other part of it being, that I believe. That's what makes it believable and draws you back in, I guess. Anyway.
I've seen that in other movies, and it's a cool scene. And so anyway, Harry shoots David Soul comes in and he does really well. He shoots everybody and doesn't shoot the people he's not supposed to. And then Harry goes through he's shooting all the all the pop-up, whatever you call them, the pop-up targets.
Targets.
What's the last thing he shoots?
Oh, Harry, he shot a cop. Shot a good guy. Is that what the guy says?
Yeah, you shot a good guy. It was like, and so
the way he glares at him.
Yeah, and so he it's weird because you have a feeling he's kind of throwing the competition, and there's a little foreshadowing there.
Harry walks away in shame, with his head down in shame, and then David Soul walks in, and he just sharpshoots all over the place perfectly. I mean, this is like a Western almost. This reminds you that Dirty Harry is not a real person, not a real character. This is not a real world, people. This is a Western, modern Western, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what a lot of people in the movie say. A lot of these cops are like, it's the wild, wild West out there, and you've got to really, you've got to be a good shot, and the criminals are taking over. That's this overwhelming, pressure that's on all these cops that's driving them crazy. Like that's what drove what's his name, Charlie McCoy, crazy.
Yeah.
So basically, I think Charlie McCoy had other issues, but
he clearly must have had it. He just
So then Harry borrows Davis's gun, and then competition's over. He lost, and then it's like bam, bam, bam. He just shoots a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah, but he borrows his .357 Magnum, which is different from his 44. I mean, his 357 Magnum.
His .357,
which is different from his own 44 Magnum. Yes,
he misses the targets, right?
Yes,
and then later on, right, we see him sneak in at night.
Yeah,
and then get some of the bullets that that were embedded in the wood.
He gets the ballistic sample, I guess, I don't know if I'm using the right terminology. Shit. But yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, he's a detective, hey.
He walks back all the way to the fairgrounds there at Golden Gate Park. No, I don't even know where this went on. I'm just making
The annual police shooting competition at Golden Gate Park. I love it.
It's about as believable as like the Top Gun trophy in the first Top Gun movie, honestly. Yes, I love Top Gun, but that's questionable as well.
Yeah, not
I don't buy
enough
that.
male buttocks in that movie for Jordan. Anyway,
No, not enough.
So anyway, then there's the big raid on Palacio's warehouse, right?
Yes.
And that's about to happen. But then, and Briggs is like, "Look, we're having this big raid. You need to go do it." And then he's like, Dirty Harry takes him to the ballistics lab to show him the bullets because, of course, he's a ballistics expert. Of course, he I mean, he
just
all
looks
that
at
stuff
it too. Yeah, he just looks
under
at
a
it.
microscope.
He's like, "Yeah, Harry, not the same thing. Whatever."
Yeah. And then, Briggs doesn't believe him, of course. But Jordan, I can tell you this was shot in a real lab.
It does look like a real lab.
It does look like a real. I mean, it's dirty and there's junk everywhere and guns and bullets.
I would.
Do you know how
that.
I know?
Why?
I'm sorry. Go on.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you know how I know?
How do you know?
The Dutch angles, because the shots in that room were either super high or from below. You could tell like they were struggling to put the camera in there because it's an actual space, a small little lab. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really funny because you could just tell they were propping the camera up at the ceiling. I don't know.
I mean, the first part of the movie is shot. The first part of the movie is shot, I believe, at the actual San Francisco City Hall because it's the same location from that would be used later on Raiders of the Lost Ark as a location for Washington. DC.
Yeah. Well, Dirty Harry was a huge hit. I can't imagine that. Probably a hero to cops. You know what I mean? Can't imagine that they wouldn't let let him film the sequel there.
We saw that later on too in View to a Kill even, and of course every Dirty Harry movie's always been set in San Francisco anyway. So
yeah. So anyway, Briggs wants Dirty Harry to be at the Palacio raid, and he's like, "Well, I want Davis and Sweet, two of those cops, the rookie cops as his backup,
Mm-hmm.
And then so we cut to Palacio's warehouse of crime.
Yeah, I love this part where the phone's just ringing and ringing.
And then,
Chinese
and then
food.
They're just eating Chinese food. I love it. And Palacio's pretty good. The actor is pretty good at using chopsticks. And then the phone is ringing because they're getting a tip-off, Jordan. Somebody says, hey, you're about to be, the cops are coming in 2 minutes.
You're about to be raided, I guess, basically, yeah.
And then so Sweet, they roll up. Dirty Harry gets out and hides. And then Sweet walks up to the door. And what happens, man?
Sweet gets doesn't he get shot point blank when he opens the door or knocks on the door?
Yeah, the door didn't even open. Palacio shoots him with a shotgun right through the door.
Palacio is ready. Palacio is ready. I think that's his name, Palacio.
I keep saying his name wrong. It's
Palacio. Anyway,
Palacio was there with the gun
because they all after the phone has been ringing so many times, and they're like, "Somebody gonna answer that?" And they like, well, maybe we should be ready for him. They do arm the shit out of themselves and are ready. And one of their biggest goons has his biggest gun, and he blows him right through the fucking door. With this thing.
But they do pause. Yeah, they do pause for a minute. Like he goes back to eating Chinese food and reading the paper, and he's like, "Yeah, maybe we need to take this thing seriously." Like I would freak out if someone's like, someone's coming to kill you in 2 minutes. I'd be like,
if you got
crap,
threatening phone call like that, wouldn't that scare the shit out of you? Even if you're a mafia guy, right? I mean, you'd be acting quickly. Yeah,
Palancio's just icy cold like that, and
man, he just don't give a fuck. Yeah, he's just like, what is?
That's some good Chinese food, Jordan. That's all I'm saying. Wherever he got that,
it looked good.
It did look good.
And this is the first time we would see, of many times, Italians in movies eating Chinese food for some reason, constantly. I don't know why.
And so, what follows is a really good, lengthy shootout. Good old-fashioned 70s shootout. And at the end of it, Palancio is speeding away. And then Dirty Harry jumps on his hood. And then Palacio runs into a crane.
Oh, my God, yes. This is fucked up. Yes. He drives right the fuck into, an oncoming, I-beam that just crashes into him from a crane? An I-beam
in the windshield,
coming down from a crane? Yeah, right into the fucking windshield. I mean, as far as kills go, you got to from a horror movie standpoint, you got to admire the kind of kills they have on this movie.
Yeah, and these are really great, like sort of not off-screen kills, but like the way they the way they're filmed, like you don't always see the blood, but you're like, damn, you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
action packed, Pee Wee. It's this. This is great. You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh shit moment every
Yeah.
5 minutes. You know?
It usually has about this movie is like was made for the drive-in back then. You could tell. It was made for not just the theater, the drive-in audience back then, you know.
Yeah, it really is an
The drive-in back
exploitation
then.
film.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what it reminds me of more, but it's like a bigger budget, obviously, because it's Warner Brothers made. It's Clint Eastwood behind it. It's got power behind it. It's got actors behind it. Also, it's like, but yeah, it
But
is. It's
but I mean, that's the thing. I hadn't seen Dirty Harry in a long time,
mm-hmm.
and I've never seen this film. So thanks for turning me onto it. But I was like, this is the modern era, dude, and I'm still like, damn. Like, there's a lot going on in this movie
that's what I thought
shocking
too.
me.
Yeah, I'd never really watched this. I've never watched this movie before this year, honestly. And I've seen the first Dirty Harry. At most, I've seen the first Dirty Harry. I watched it in the theater at a special screening years ago when I was younger with some friends in the movie theater. It was at a special screening. I mean, literally, we're still in the 21st century. I'm talking even,
Yeah,
and I saw Deadpool on cable many a times when I was a kid, and I'm familiar with Deadpool more so. That's the last Dirty Harry movie,
yeah.
from 1988. And
And
by that
there were
point,
what, 5 of them? So it's
I
five
think
Dirty
so. If
Harry
I'm doing,
movies?
there was Dirty Harry, this movie Magnum Force, The Enforcer in 1976, and then
Yeah,
Sudden Impact
sudden impact.
in
Yeah,
1983, and then the Deadpool 1988, and then they just left it there, I guess.
and then I think I've seen Dirty Harry like 3 times.
Clint did.
For some reason, I've watched Dirty Harry the most.
Yeah,
I've
I've seen the
never
first
seen
one
this.
the most. Also, that iconic opening image of sets him up. He's eating a
Yeah.
hot dog, and then he gets tipped off, and then he shoots the guy outside the bank, and then he shoots the getaway car, and it crashes into a fire hydrant right there in the city.
But
It's
you
great,
love
but it's
it,
really
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, and this is the most comic booky. It's not. I mean, you take it seriously, but it hits. And I don't
Yeah.
want to get into the review yet, but I'm just like at this point in the movie, I'm like, damn, it's funny, it's like thrilling. And when I'm just like, damn, dude, every 5 minutes, like this guy just got a crane in the face.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And
That's why
this isn't the
yeah.
craziest thing that's happened in this movie. That's just like meh. And yeah, it's I don't know.
It's almost like a graphic novel, honestly. It really is. It's like the best graphic novel ever, almost,
Yeah.
Set in 1973. Just kids, if you go back and watch this movie, just picture this movie as a graphic novel about a cop that doesn't really exist in reality. He's a vigilante almost cop, I mean, come on. Anyway.
You keep saying that. Who honestly believes that Dirty Harry's a real person? You've been on the wrong blogs, Jordan. So we're back at the station, and Briggs and the captain are busting Harry's chops as he's getting sewn up. He's getting stitches. And, and he's just like, look, I didn't shoot at anybody who wasn't shooting me. I didn't do this whole thing.
Looks a little
Sweet
painful.
got killed and all this. Yeah. Without painkiller. Yeah. And then Dirty Harry says, they were Palancio was tipped off, and then Briggs is like threatens Dirty Harry with basically his job. He's like, give me that bullet that you found, you know. And then Dirty Harry grabs the
Dirty
bullet.
Harry Callahan, Dirty Harry High.
Dirty Harry Callahan. Then he grabs a bullet out of his pocket and just throws it at the chief and says, there you go.
And he's had it in his pocket the whole time. I mean, how obsessive is that?
I mean, he's Dirty Harry. He's nothing if not obsessive.
He's on the job.
He somehow doesn't give a shit about anything else, but he's very obsessive about the things he's obsessive about.
Mm-hmm.
He cares about, And then he's talking to Early, and he says it was a setup. The rookie cops are behind it. And then he says he gave Briggs the wrong bullet,
Yeah.
And then Then we go. He's in the. I think it's the parking garage of his apartment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the 3 cops show up. Faceless
Yeah. No,
cops, and they're all wearing the glasses.
I think it's the parking garage of the. I thought it was the. Is it an apartment or is it a precinct?
Oh, it could have been the precinct. Yeah. Anyway, he's in the
That's
parking
the fucked
garage.
up part. It's really dark though, and they got him cornered, kind of.
Yeah.
And that's what the creepy part of it. They got him cornered, and they. Anyway, go ahead.
And what's the line they say? I love this line.
Oh, just like you, you simply must understand, Inspector Callahan. It must be done.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking the first thing they say is, "Do you know how hard it is to prosecute a cop?" And that's what stops him.
That's the line.
That voice comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
he sees the 3 cops. But yeah, it's really creepy.
But this is where we see the villains, who's been doing it the whole time, unveiled. At least us as the audience, we see it more so. But yeah, then Harry sees it like, whoa, it's a big revelation.
He was right. He's like, the courts don't work excuse me. Dirty Harry was right. They say the cops say the courts don't work properly. Society is going downhill. There's no other way. You of all people should understand of it. And like we're just a society. They're like vigilantes. There's like sort of this cult of cops, basically, in a way of speaking, that is just focused on just murdering people in the street like criminals, hunting down criminals and murdering them.
Yeah, does that mean there's like a network of them too, and they're like connected to another city even, communicating,
That's the way it sounded to me. I mean, if it sounded that way to you too,
yeah.
I was like, there were like a lot of wees being thrown around.
I didn't think about that until now, but yeah, that's but yeah, and but the weird thing is, this is what also makes Harry Callahan look less like the bad vigilante or the bad anti-hero in this movie compared to these guys. These guys make him look like a nice cop by comparison.
Well, because go ahead. I'm sorry.
And of course, at the end of it, I guess Dirty Harry has more of a conscience compared to these guys.
Kind of. Yeah, I think so. Because the difference is those cops shoot and kill bad guys. They murder bad guys. Whereas Dirty Harry kills bad guys. Well, you know what? I think it's really that Dirty Harry is not a joiner. I think that's really what we're looking at here.
He injures them and then brings them into justice.
Usually, or just shoots them or kills them.
And then he asks questions. But they just shoot these people point blank. Dead bang.
It's a very gray line. It's a thin blue line right there.
Yeah. And even for us, the audience, watching all this.
But anyway, hold on, let me find it.
I think you fellas maybe have misjudged me.
And so they misjudge him, and then he declines, and they'd ride off. And then what happens? Dirty Harry goes home. Something's wrong with his mailbox, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then
as the girl next door is bringing him beer in, and they're going to have maybe a romp together, hopefully later on. Yes, she's about to check his mail for him, and he gets the idea that, oh my God, it's not going to, no, check it out. And then he goes in and starts unscrewing it slowly, methodically, as an annoying neighbor is overlooking him.
I love that neighbor, because he's like, oh, you're the cop that lived upstairs. And it's like, I just love that.
It's like he's got Sheldon Cooper with a mustache living, Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory with a mustache living above him.
He's like, you shouldn't be doing that. I want to call the police. I am the police.
Yeah.
And I love that.
And then he's unveiling it, he pulls a bomb out of his own mailbox that was about to be detonated. And he's obviously been around enough bomb situations. He must know how to, turn it off, so to speak. Yeah. I guess.
And it's Dirty Harry, so he just takes the bomb up to his apartment and just puts it on his dresser. He doesn't. Well, he's not going to call the cops. He is the cops.
And then he calls Briggs, of course.
Yeah, he calls Briggs. Well, no, he calls Early, his partner.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, and warns him. He tries
And
to warn him.
Yeah, and you see Early coming home with groceries because I guess everyone's coming home from groceries with groceries at that time. But
Yeah.
Early hears the phone ringing inside his apartment, but then it's like, meh, I'm gonna go check my mail. And then what happens?
He checks his mail as he's smacking on the celery that's right out of the bag of groceries.
Yes,
And
he's healthy
then the bomb goes right off as he's checking the mail and blows him.
and
The
kills
kingdom
him.
come. Yes.
Very unhealthy. Yes.
Very.
And
God, just not just rude. I'm just. Yeah.
And then Early gets freaking killed, and this is Jordan.
I know.
He lost another partner.
I liked his partner in the first movie. They killed him. I liked his partner in this movie even more so, with Felton Perry being a badass, and they kill him. What the fuck?
It's so sad. And then
where's the injustice? Where is the justice?
Basically, Harry promised him at the beginning of the movie that he wouldn't die. Oh my goodness!
Oh, that's right. He promised him he wouldn't die.
It's sad. It's sad. And then he calls Briggs, and Briggs is like, "I'm coming down myself."
Yeah.
And then so Briggs comes in, to his apartment and is like, where's the bomb? And he's like, gives him the bomb.
Yeah, he says,
like,
it's there on the dresser.
Yeah. And then he's like, let's go down to the car and we'll go down to the station. And so he's like, I'm just looking at this bomb. Why don't you drive? Right. So he's Dirty Harry is driving. Harry's driving and he's inspecting as Briggs is inspecting the bomb. And then what happens? Jordan.
Oh, is this when Dirty Harry is like starting to drive erratically and crazy? And
well, what happens is dun dun dun. Briggs pulls a gun on Harry.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I forgot. Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Briggs is behind. He was behind it all the whole time.
And he was behind it the whole time. Yeah. I'm sorry.
The whole time.
Jeez. How could I leave that? I feel like an ass for not. Anyway, yes, but that's what happens. That's what happens, Harry's man. Gun.
He tells Harry to take his gun and throw it in the back seat, right?
Yeah, put your gun in the back seat, Harry. Yes, I've been behind it the whole time, Harry.
He's just like, basically that he talks about that same cult or society of vigilantes within the police department. Evil for evil, retribution. The courts don't work. The same thing, right?
Yeah.
And Dirty Harry's like, well, if cops become their own executioners, where does it end?
Which he's right. Yeah, that's where it becomes bad, which is weird coming from him, of course.
Some shades in the modern day.
It's almost like he's having a revelation himself.
Yeah, he's convincing himself at this point.
I don't know. But yeah, it's just like, because considering just this is the same Dirty Harry from the first movie that was doing almost the same shit,
Mm-hmm.
Different day.
A different day.
Same shit, different day.
If they'd caught him last week, he might have had a different answer. But no, he's just not a joiner. He's not down with that.
No, he'll always be the lone gunman. That's his role, I guess.
Yeah.
That's maybe what it is. Yeah. And then, he doesn't join a club that would have him as a member, as Groucho Marx would say.
Yeah, exactly. And then Briggs says, well, you wouldn't join us. You know what I mean? So, and he doesn't understand. He's like, Harry, you hate the system. He's like, I hate the system, but until somebody comes along with something better, this is what we got. He's arguing for law and order, but yet at the same time, he hates being told what to do, and he wants to do his own thing. It's really a funny. It's not funny, but it's a weird conversation,
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's
weird.
The whole point of the movie.
It's a beautiful dichotomy, though, that this movie has, though. That's what I admire about all of it. All of this, like, back and forth between Dirty Harry and the people that are worse than him. That's what's fascinating about it, is these guys that are worse than him that are just like, no, we'll crush them, man. It's just one blow. They don't waste fucking time with one-liners. They kill these people coldly.
And that's their problem. They don't waste time with one-liners,
They don't stop and go, I'm going to kill you with a 357 Magnum Force. With Magnum Force, I'm going to kill you. They don't stop with that shit. No.
Exactly.
I just made up dialogue that doesn't even exist. Yeah. It's
clever and funny to say, like, they don't come up and say, like, hey, how's the Chinese food? Or whatever.
No, nothing. None of that. Yeah.
I prefer the Kung Pao chicken. They don't have those Dirty Harry lines.
No, none of that. Well, when I walked in here, I always take my coffee black. Today they poured sugar in it.
And that's what makes them the bad guys. They don't have the witty one-liners. They just want to kill someone. And so anyways, so Harry, of course, uses his old signature move of swerving the car to disorient the other person and hitting the brakes.
Yes.
And then he just beats the shit with one hand, side fist, beats the shit out of Briggs, and and then we get a good old-fashioned San Francisco car chase scene as one of the motorcycle cops appears and is chasing him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's 3 cops left, right? Because Sweet's dead. And the
Yes.
first one, he just runs into him, like head on with the car. Boom.
Oh, yeah, it's ugly once again. Another
it's pretty awesome. You're like, damn. Another damn moment. And this car gets wrecked. So it's kind of funny. But
there's a lot of moments as a stoner watching this where you just like, you go, whoa, dude, no way. He killed all of them that way. Or you're just like, oh no, you're going to die that way. Oh. Anyway.
And then Harry runs. There's like a ship graveyard or a salvage yard. And he runs onto some sort of weird barge, which is I don't know what it is. I don't know what this is, but it's a really cool place to film a cat and mouse sort of chase scene between him and the 2 cops.
Why did they always want to have climaxes on barges like this in the early 70s? In the early 70s, why did they always want to have like a climax on a barge like this? I don't understand it. Anyway.
Yeah. Production value, Jordan.
I guess so. It's out in the daylight.
Barge, and it's a great place to shoot.
It's very scenic. Yes.
I wouldn't shoot inside a metal boat because of the ricochets, but who cares? This is a movie, right?
Yeah.
So
doesn't matter. It's a movie world.
Then I think it's Robert Urich's character, Grimes, but I think Dirty Harry kills him with his fucking bare hands. Is that right?
I think, yeah.
Crushes his freaking windpipe and just kills him with his bare hands. Because here's the thing, Dirty Harry doesn't have his gun. It's in the back seat. I don't know why he didn't get it. I think it's in the back seat.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about how brutal that one was. Oh my god.
But I thought that was interesting because this whole movie, Dirty Harry doesn't have his weapon, and so he's forced to use his wits, which I think is interesting. An interesting way to end a Dirty Harry movie.
Absolutely. Right? That's why I think this script is so intelligent, nevertheless. Like because of its screenwriting, I think that's why this movie is still good, nevertheless, because it's got some powerful screenwriting with John Milius and Michael Cimino power going on behind it.
Yeah, and they're like, what is the one thing we can do? Take away Dirty Harry's gun.
Yeah. I mean, well, and who better to write a Dirty Harry movie than John Milius, if anybody knows. If any kids out there want to know who John Milius is, watch The Big Lebowski, and John Goodman's character in that movie is John Milius, basically, in real life. And that's the guy that wrote Dirty Harry. Who better to write this movie than that guy? Anyway.
Like you were saying earlier, he's the kind of guy that walks into an office with a grenade,
Exactly. In a meeting in a threatening manner with a grenade, or has a Bowie knife with him in a meeting, or a survival knife with him in a meeting, possibly.
He's crazy.
And scares the executive.
He's a good director. I mean, Red Dawn and some other movies. And he's a great writer.
And Conan the Barbarian, 1982, a movie now 40 years old. Yes, kids, but yeah.
And so, anyway, Dirty Harry runs away. There's one cop left chasing him, and he steals a motorcycle. And then this becomes a motorcycle chase, right?
Yeah.
And then we find out that Dirty Harry can do motorcycle jumps, or at least his Clint Eastwood stunt person can. But it looks legit, And
apparently, and I think in the Gauntlet later on, he's on a motorcycle once again, with his gun even.
Dirty Harry does it all. He can't fly a plane, but he can certainly stop one. He knows where the brake is on any vehicle. That's for sure. But he knows ballistics. He knows bomb defusing. He knows motorcycle stunts.
I bet money he can fly a helicopter out of nowhere.
He probably can. And
we just haven't seen that yet.
I'd have to watch Sudden Impact again.
You know what? Fuck it. Clint Eastwood, even at 92, let's watch him be Dirty Harry again. Fuck it. I mean,
dude,
honestly.
I bet Clint Eastwood. He's still He's still directing, and he's basically making Dirty Harry, like old Dirty Harry
I
movies.
admire him that he's 92 and still going at it, despite even if his politics are somewhat weird in some areas, But he's still Clint fucking Eastwood. I mean,
He's a national fucking treasure.
Exactly.
I mean, honest to God.
I love the interview with Tom Hanks where he's talking about Clint Eastwood directing him. And he says like Clint Eastwood would stand behind him and in a shot and be like, "Very good, Tom. Very good." Or another, or if somebody talked like out of frame, he just glare at them like Dirty Harry.
That fucking squint he's got. That squint could fucking stop a train.
Fuck it, man. I want to see him 92 as Dirty Harry, coming out of retirement for no reason, off the grid, with his badge like he should be there and he shouldn't,
I'm 92. How many times are you guys going to ask me to come out of retirement? But yeah, I mean, fucking a 92-year-old Dirty Harry.
You don't need me when you do. You do need me.
Motorcycle chase. I bet Clint Eastwood really can drive a motorcycle and fly a plane in real life. But anyway,
yeah.
I don't know. So then he goes back to So there's a motorcycle scene, and then
we're getting close to the end with this as far as that goes. Yeah, I'm sorry, the barge motorcycle. Anyway,
yeah, it's a weird motorcycle chase on top of barges where they're jumping over, between the barges. But yeah, anyway, so he just like sort of stops the bike, skids on it, and then David Soul, I think it's David Soul, doesn't see the end of the barge and just flies over and lands in the water and somehow dies. I mean, I think he could have survived that, but anyway, he dies.
He floats up, like in Dead Man style, right? Just like
the movie needs him to die, so he dies. But isn't that sort of an anticlimactic ending? Didn't you really want to see Dirty Harry?
Yeah, why couldn't we see more blood in that scene?
Huh?
Why couldn't we see more blood in that scene, maybe at least, or something? More blood in the water, or
more blood or something.
You're right. There should have been more of an end to him. Like he should have had a better end. I mean, you always see the villain get stabbed really well at the end, right? In a good movie,
Or he jumps off with you see him like the motorcycle fly over the edge, but it turns out he's really not dead, and he comes up and he's got a gun, and then Dirty Harry thinks of some clever way to kill him without a gun.
I think that was neat too. Yeah, that he got him to run his motorcycle way off of the whole thing, but that kind of fall that's where it's kind of realistic. I mean, that fall could kill somebody.
It might kill somebody. I don't know.
I
guess if you're going 40 miles an hour and you hit the water, I don't know.
He had those crops on, those boots on, those.
I'm not a
for
doctor.
Some added weight.
A podcast, host, Jordan. I don't know these things. But
I'm not a doctor either, Anthony. I do play one on TV though.
And that's what got you arrested. Anyway.
Too soon.
Oh, sorry, not to bring up dirty laundry.
That's legal reasons. We can't bring that up.
We can't bring that up on this podcast.
Dirty laundry.
Anyway, so then Dirty Harry limps back to his wrecked car.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
We
didn't see. Well, we didn't.
Oh wait.
We didn't see. I didn't mention earlier how Briggs, like he was during the chase. Like the door opens, he hits something, the door opens, and Briggs rolls out.
Oh, that's right. Briggs. Oh, this is the fucked up, ending where Briggs has, Briggs shows up out of nowhere, basically, right, with a gun to Dirty Harry, saying, he's got Dirty Harry's gun, I guess, or something, and he holds him at gunpoint, says, "I'm taking your car, I'm getting out of here. Don't speak a word of this," or something like that. But Dirty Harry has left the bomb in his car, I think, or something. So Briggs drives away.
So as Briggs is sitting there talking to him, he's like, "I'm going to leave you alive, Callahan. They're not going to believe you over me. No one's going to believe some crazy cop. You've killed 3 police officers, and I'm going to prosecute you. No one's going to believe you over me, Yeah. And as he's saying that, we see Dirty Harry with the bomb in the front seat. And he arms it, and I love it. I just love it. What happens, Jordan? Like he throws it in the back seat, and then what happens?
he drives away. Harry leaves him. He drives away. Like Harry's like, fine. Hey, you got me a gunpoint here, whatever. He doesn't say that, but he's. But yeah, and then he drives away, and the fucking car just blows up. You see the car blow up as it drives away, and it
And
blows
boy,
into pieces, body
yeah.
included. Almost looks like.
And boy, does it blow up. Yeah, the doors fly off. And I just love
Yeah.
how just Harry's just sitting there. He's just so nonchalant.
Yeah,
just
like,
watching this
won't end
car
well.
drive away.
Yeah. This won't end well. Everybody dies around me.
Harry's just so cool in moments like that. I think that's
True.
why he's like a superhero. It's just like people have guns on him and he just doesn't, he just doesn't care. That's Clint Eastwood's whole thing.
Yeah.
That's his whole brand.
Kurt Russell in Escape from New York is doing an impression of Clint Eastwood in the Westerns, basically with his voice, even, just to give you a clue on things. You kids a clue on things.
Yeah. And then he says his catchphrase he said several times in the movie, which is, Jordan,
man's got to know his limitations.
I'm wondering how he's going to explain all this. There's a bunch of dead motorcycle cops. How Harry is gonna,
There will be another guy in the next movie to give him hell for that. All of this right here.
Harry, you killed Lieutenant Briggs.
Another
you
actor.
Killed 4 cops.
Yeah.
All that shit that went down in Palacios.
It's going to happen at the beginning of the next movie.
You're on supermarket duty.
Now, I haven't watched all. I've been trying to catch up with the rest of the Dirty Harry movies. I haven't watched the rest of the Enforcer yet. It's not the same movie as this one is. And then Sudden Impact, I need to get through. Although, and then Deadpool. Oddly, I'm familiar with more so. Anyway, but yeah. We see Dirty Harry get brutal again and again in the next movies. That's the odd part about all
this. It ends and it says, Dirty Harry will get brutal again in the next movie. The Enforcer.
It's just like, ending like a James Bond movie credits. Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, this movie, in my opinion, I gotta say, Jordan, thank you for forcing me at gunpoint to watch this
with a 44 Magnum. I did
with the most powerful hand. It took the most
powerful handgun in the world, Anthony,
to convince me to watch a random ass sequel to a series. I was like, a Dirty Harry movie,
and I had a 357 in the other hand.
But no, this is an awesome fucking movie. People
is it not a Saturday
this.
night at the movies, though? I mean, nevertheless, yeah.
You were right. You don't even need to watch the first one.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's the beauty.
Dare I say, Jordan, that I think this might in some ways even be better than the original. I know that's sacrilege.
I agree with you. The original is slower paced by comparison. It just takes more time. It's trying to be more of a detective thriller. It's trying to decide what it is also, I think, kind of.
It comes
by comparison.
This movie feels more like a 70s movie. I mean, the first movie is obviously in the 70s, but
but I feel like,
what I mean? It feels like, it feels later. It feels more advanced. It feels ahead of its time.
Yeah. And I think I seriously think it's because of the John Milius, Michael Cimino script. Honestly, kids, look them up. Conan the Barbarian, 1982, Apocalypse Now in 1979, Deer Hunter, 1978, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, 1976, maybe. I mean, this is all the power behind this screenplay right here already. This is the future of Hollywood at that point, at least behind this screenplay.
It's a more modern Hollywood movie. It's great action, great acting from everybody, and the pacing is awesome. It's a 2-hour movie. It doesn't feel like 2 hours.
It's a very fast-paced 2-hour movie, honestly.
Yeah, moves at a clip.
Lot
happens.
It
is a bit long. They could have cut some scenes, but
but it doesn't waste a lot. Being for especially a movie in 1973, it moves very fast for that time period, especially.
Yeah, all these twists and turns in the plot.
Yeah,
and then just this question of like, where is the line? The line between vigilantism and how good is Harry? You say they softened him in this movie, but I think you're right. He met people worse than him.
Yeah.
He met cops that were worse than him.
And what better for a sequel to a movie that was successful already, I mean, what better way to approach it even,
Yeah.
That's a genius way to approach it.
Yeah. Well, did audiences at the time agree, Jordan,
I
with
believe they
us?
did. Well, I don't know.
Well, I couldn't find a budget for this film. Okay.
Yeah.
But it did make 39.7 mil in domestic, I believe.
I
Right?
don't think it cost that much at all. I
No, no,
doubt
no.
it did.
Well, the original cost 4 million. So let's say they had a little more money with this movie. This is a bigger
Yeah.
movie than the original, although
I
it
would bet
kind of
money,
looks
though, that they had
cheap in
less
some
money.
ways.
I would
Yeah.
bet they had less money because that's the way it was back then.
I
with-
know, I
with
know, but
sequels.
it's a bigger movie. I mean, they
Agreed.
didn't have I mean, it's hard to say because they wrecked so many cars in 70s movies. Apparently, they didn't cost that much. They had to get the Willie Dynamite car. They had a helicopter shot, a helicopter in this movie, and a plane, and all sorts of stuff. I think it cost probably a little bit more.
I would bet it
But-
cost $2 million, honestly.
I don't know. Anyway, we're speculating. But
True.
the original made 36 million. This made 39. If it was made for about the same as the original or less or more,
That's successful, though. Yeah, that's absolutely.
extremely successful.
That's a box office hit back then.
Some might call that the sixth highest grossing film of the year.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You
And
know?
Clint Eastwood would later be known for as a producer or director, keeping his budgets on time.
He's a triple threat or a quadruple threat. He's just like Dirty Harry. You know,
On
he
time
can
and
direct, he
under
can
a lot of
act, and-
times, honestly, because he knew where he spent so much time on TV and movie sets from being a young kid, for 20 years at that point, even I think probably. He just knew. He just paid enough attention to where he knew. I mean, and plus the guy that directed his first movie was somebody he already worked with anyway and trusted. So he probably had a hand in getting that guy hired. Excuse me.
And these were people that he all worked with, cinematographers, directors. Yeah, he got a crew and writers, and they did it again. Let's do it again. They did it. It was a success, and I see why now. So Jordan, this was a pretty awesome movie. What kind of rating do you give this?
I would give this 5 out of 6 bullets in a chamber of a 44 Magnum.
Well,
close to perfection. That's close to Godfather level.
If we're doing bullet chamber ratings, bullet magazine or whatever they are,
my inner redneck ratings, loves this movie.
I'm going to have to agree with you since the math is weird on that. I will do a 5 out of 6, if not a 5.5 out of 6.
Okay. I'll agree with you. 5.5 out of 6 with all the oh shit moments in it.
With all the oh shit moments, this was not a boring movie,
and that's one thing we look for in these kind of movies.
Oh, dude, this exceeded my expectations for sure. I didn't come into this expecting much. I give it 5.5 out of 6. Dirty Harry squints.
Oh,
Clint Eastwood could squint with the best of them.
I like your rating. Okay, your rating is different. I like it. Dirty
Harry is really good at shooting competitions, but he's even better. He would be even better at a squinting competition. Nobody could beat him.
Oh my God, yeah. He just like stares at you like. It just says it all, though. There's something about that squint. Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan, did you learn anything from this film that you can take with you into your life?
I learned that if I am hijacking a plane, not to run from the guy shooting at me out of the exit behind the certain wall, thinking it's just going to protect me, that wall, because it's not. A 44 Magnum bullet or two is going to fly right into that wall and hit me in the gut and kill me. And also I learned that I learned that, maybe if you're a cop, you shouldn't have a 44 Magnum weapon. Maybe that's a bit extreme. Maybe something a little more handy. I don't know. Maybe like a Glock, like most cops use. Maybe.
I learned, folks, check your mailboxes for bombs.
By unscrewing them first.
Unscrew your mailbox every day and make sure there's not a bomb in there.
Yeah.
I learned how much blow cost in 1970 $973.
$900?
$900
An ounce?
an ounce.
What a bargain.
I mean, aren't they normally sold in grams? I don't know. Drugs, I don't know. But anyway.
That's 28 grams, Anthony.
It is. Is that 28 grams?
I
That's
know.
another movie.
Because my job is selling cocaine outside of here. Oh, sorry. I blew my cover. I got to get out of here.
You got to pay the bills, Jordan. You got to pay the bills somehow.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's an underground
podcasting ain't do it, isn't it? Anyway.
No. But please listen to us, folks. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yeah. If you like what you hear, then like us, review us, whatever you want, and then go back to some of our other episodes where we talk about not sequels to random movies, I think, but hope you enjoy those as well. And thank you all to our new listeners and our the folks who listen every week. We
Yes.
appreciate it.
And we talk about movies from the 80s, 90s, 2000s,
Yeah.
any era, honestly, not just the 70s, not like just this one, honestly. We also talk about every era we try to conquer.
Try to mix it up. Jordan will have a random movie for me next time, I'm sure.
I will.
What's another random series that you could, like next time we're going to do Fast and the Furious 4, the one everyone's forgotten about. No,
yeah, there's one where they drag a vault around just like Bobby Joe and the Outlaw, actually. Yeah.
Anyway, so all right, thank you all again for listening. And next time we'll talk about some other movie, probably with a lot fewer nude people being gunned down. I promise that's not going to happen.
Maybe, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You never know, though. Then again.
Yeah. And maybe fewer. Let me think of something. I've had a few beers. Maybe fewer. Actual mobsters and gangsters that were innocent for what they're being gunned down for. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, or maybe just a movie with fewer highway patrol cops shooting people randomly, because this is the most highway patrol cops I've seen in one movie, of course. That have killed this many people.
I was getting real nervous. I was checking my license and registration this whole movie.
I was too. Even I mean, I was just making sure. I couldn't find my insurance, and I got nervous, honestly. And I also was.
Is this a record for the number of police stops in a movie? I don't know.
I mean, even during the movie, I was making sure that my hands were on the steering wheel when the cop approached the car, and that my glove compartment was open, so there was no weapons showing, or and my console is open, so he didn't see anything else, and that the visors are down, and the insurance is right there in my lap, and the license. Okay,
10 and 2. Yeah, you're good. All right, everyone. Thanks again. This has been.
You've just got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?